always a pleasure to see you. Or let me say, I am a big fan of your work. And you are great in this. This is just what we call a really, really, really good movie.
I feel like it is too, man. I'm really happy to be in it. It is a really good movie.
It really is. Like, I have nothing but positive things to say. But listen, there's going to be people out there who've never seen anything you've done before. So besides this movie, which obviously everyone should see, what is the first thing you'd like them watching and why?
Oh, wow. That's interesting. How about... Well, if you're watching Flora and Son on Apple TV Plus, I'm not just saying it because of them, but I made a show called Mr. Corman that also came out on Apple a couple years ago, and I wrote a lot of it and directed a lot of it, and it's a weird little. It's also kind of Sundancey, you know. Flora and Son came out of Sundance. Mr. Corman never played at Sundance, but it's very much in that spirit of kind of like weird 90s indie movies in a half-hour dramedy, and I'm very, very proud of it. And watch that one.
So you have done so many cool things in your career, and I'm just curious, what was the project that before you stepped on set the first day, you think you were probably the most nervous to play that role?
Ah, that's interesting. Well, I don't get easily nervous. Playing opposite Daniel Day-Lewis in Lincoln was pretty exciting. Hosting SNL was very nerve-wracking. That's not exactly a role in a movie, but actually, and I'm not just saying this, like Flora and Son, because I'm singing and playing guitar in it, I was way more nervous for those scenes than I usually am for a shoot day, because I've always wanted to make music in a movie, and this is really kind of the first time I got to. And so I had been practicing and singing, and we shot some of these scenes in a sort of unconventional way. Usually for a musical, you go and sing in a studio, and you do lots of takes, and they edit together the best pieces of all the takes, and then when you shoot, you lip sync to what you sang before. And we did do that on some of the songs. But on some of the songs, we just recorded them for real, when it was just like me singing and playing guitar and there wasn't other stuff going on. And so those days I definitely had some nerves, which again is like kind of irregular for me. But to just sit there and sing a whole song and play it with no accompaniment and no editing or anything, that challenged me in a very thrilling way, but it was a challenge.
So I am a big fan of John Carney, just like you and just like so many people. And I am just curious, when you found out you could work with him, like how much did you pay him to be in the movie?
I had to convince him. It's really true. Because he initially was thinking that this role should be played by a musician, like a great, well-known professional musician. And I wrote him a whole letter about how, like, man, I'm telling you, you don't want a big golden-voiced rock star to play this part. You want an actor, and you want like kind of a normal guy who can sing and who can play, and I'll sing and I'll play and I'll practice and I'll do it all well, but who's more a little grounded and down to earth, and more than anything just feels like a real person. That's what's gonna make this character really pop. And luckily I was able to convince him of that.
By the way, you're 100% right, because if some big name had been in the role, it honestly, I don't think it would have worked for me. I think it's because you're playing a normal person.
Right.
You know? So you guys premiered at Sundance, and then you were one of the big sales and went to Apple. I think actually this movie is perfect at Apple. I think it's a great fit. But what was it like for you, premiering at Sundance and having it sell, like, you know what I mean? It's really cool.
We had the quintessential Sundance experience. I've been lucky to have it a few times in my career. And like it happened with Brick, which was Rian Johnson's first movie, or 500 Days of Summer was a little different because it was already at Fox Searchlight and wasn't playing as a It wasn't playing in competition. It had already been sold. Don John was another one. We made that as an independent movie without distribution, and had that night where like people first saw it, and then buyers were coming at us, and we're like, thank God buyers want to buy it, and who should we? And that whole experience that you've heard of, it was a real thrill to get to live it. And with Flora and Son, it was the same. And I also want to say you're absolutely right. It really fits at Apple. And like I said, I did another show at Apple, and having them, with this movie, they really have a slightly different mentality than a lot of the other big streamers. And frankly, I think it's because they don't make their money with movies. They make their money with phones. So their thing is more about like, let's actually just make sure that the stuff is kind of like has an integrity to it and is beautiful and good. And let's respect the artists. There's a tradition at Apple of like kind of respecting individuals as opposed to just looking at like data and market research and things like that. And I've had a really good experience at Apple, and I'm glad to have this movie there.
I mean this sincerely, and I think some of the other streamers will get mad at me for saying this, but if I had to cancel my streamers, I would keep Apple. Like I really love the sci-fi they're making. Mm-hmm. And like they just make really good stuff, and that's what I really think it's a great fit.
Well, thank you for saying so. I mean, I'm not them, but I thank you on their behalf.
Yeah, no, totally. So, two quick things. One, you were a great host at SNL. I could pinpoint a whole bunch of skits and the opening monologue. But any plans on going back to that?
Yeah, call him up. Tell him the guy from Flora and Son wants to host.
Okay. And my last thing for you, because I got to wrap. I know your relationship with Ryan. Have you been talking about possibly, Knives Out 3?
No. The answer is no.
Okay. I would like that to happen.
Yeah.
On that note, I'm just going to say, man, I really enjoy your work. Like I said at the beginning, really happy for you. Congrats on this film, and have a fantastic day.
Thanks so much. Great to talk to you, man, as always.